Hi, it's Stephen here from Sound of an Ocean Wave, and this is day 10 of the April daily draws. So as we close out the weekend, let's see what message we get. And I'll be taking the first card from the Good Fortune Tarot, followed by an oracle card from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. So let's choose our first card and get the reading underway. Okay, here we go. Five of Cups. We have to move our focus away from things that we've lost. You know, the water here, whatever the liquid is, it's spilled out the cups. They've just emptied out onto the floor. Maybe the wind, the window's open, maybe she's letting some air in, maybe wind circumstances just come in and blew them over, a gust of wind may have toppled them. That's one scenario. So sometimes, we have the winds of change come into our lives, and sometimes that causes us to lose connections with things and with people, changing relationships. Some people leave our lives, and it may not necessarily be our fault, or it may just be a coincidence that, you might say that if she opened the window, maybe she bears some responsibility for those. She didn't think about, would the wind knock the cups over? And sometimes we don't connect things like that. Sometimes we think, let some fresh air in, and maybe it wasn't too windy. Maybe it wasn't too windy at the time when she opened the window, but then the wind picked up and caught her unexpectedly. And sometimes unexpected change can come suddenly into our lives that we're not ready for, and that can cause an upset. But sometimes this happens. When this happens, it's almost like things are getting swept aside, blown aside to make room for other things. Or sometimes it just happens, and there's no great. See, sometimes we have to find a reason, don't we, for something happening. And the thing is, yes, there's often reasons, but sometimes it's possible that this is just something that happened, and it just happened to happen to us, to you, to these are things that affect a lot of people, most people in life at different times. And when it becomes your turn, it feels almost as if you've done something wrong. But it's just that sometimes it's just luck, or bad luck, or however you want to describe it. It's just probabilities. Sooner or later, something like this was going to happen by the law of probability. And it just happened to be you or me at any particular time. Yes, there are sometimes causes, there's sometimes reasons, but also, it's not we don't necessarily have to understand every situation as to, well, what happened? Why did this happen? It's a natural question for us as humans to ask. And yes, if there's any lessons to be learned to perhaps prevent something, as much as we can, prevent something from happening like that again, then we learn those lessons. But even if we learn every single lesson along the way and take every precaution, there's still ways that things can happen that we can't prevent. And that's just a fact of life. And that's my opinion on that, actually. That's my opinion. I'm not stating that as a fact. That's the way I currently feel. I've always looked for, well, why did this happen? But I'm coming to the conclusion that there doesn't have to be a particular reason. It just, some things sometimes just happen to us. And we just got to deal with them and move on. And yes, we work through the issues, we focus on the loss, we focus on whatever's happened, we try and tidy up the mess as best as we can. But there comes a point then where the other two cups are upon here on the clock, the time piece. These two cups that remain, it's time to pay them some attention. They were shielded, actually. That's the reason, because maybe they were out. They couldn't be blown over. Maybe these were nearby, and but these are out of the way, and the wind missed them. So there's something that still remains, and that's where our focus should be, on what we have, the connections, the relationships, all the things that we have that emotional bond with. It's time to refocus on those and build upon those. This isn't milk here. It doesn't look like milk anyway. But, don't cry over spilt milk, because you can't do anything about it but clean it up. It's happened, is basically the meaning of that. I mean, I'm not saying that there should be periods of releasing emotion, crying and so forth. That's one way of dealing with it. But then there comes a point where we have to turn from these and look at what we have left. And this card may be saying, maybe the time is now. Forget what's gone. That's happened. You can't change it. It's happened. Work through it, accept it, work through it, but then turn to the present and move on. Work with the connections, the relationships, etc. that you have, and build new ones. That, I believe, is the message of the Five of Cups. Okay, so let's see which oracle card we get to go with that. The Seer, fortune teller, looking into a crystal ball, looking at what's ahead. And the phrase here at the bottom, see beyond the current situation. We need to see beyond this. We need to turn around, look at what we have, and see what we can make from this point on. We can't change what's happened, but we can determine what happens next. We need to be able to have a vision of what could be. Not focusing on what once was, but what could still be. What is and what could still be. What we have now and what we could have in the future if we put our focus right on what we need to focus on. So, the past is the past. What's happened has happened. Work through any emotional stuff that you need to work through. Any issues you need to work through. Any lessons you need to learn. But then turn around and focus on what you have now, and see beyond where you're at and what you've lost. See beyond that as to what you have and what you could have further down the line. moving forward, not backwards, looking forward, not backwards. That is the message of the cards today. Okay, so that's today's message. I will be back tomorrow with day 11. Until then, thank you for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye-bye.